it's Lee from ColouringQueen.net, and today I thought I'd colour in my new Korean colouring book, and I've reviewed this one before. You can see it up on the channel, which is Deming's colouring book, and it's based on fairy tales. And the great thing about it is that each page has a coloured inspirational image. So I thought I'd start with Pippy Longstocking, and I thought I'd use my Crayolas today. So I haven't used my Crayolas for a long time. Would you believe it? As soon as I turn the camera on, Her Royal Highness, who has been asleep in her cubby house all day, comes out to be in the film. Sweetheart, you're going to have to sit down. You sit down at the back of the book. No, not on the book. At the back of the book. No, there you go. You sit down there. Okay. Alright, we'll colour around the cat. Maybe that's what I should rename the channel to, Colouring Around the Cat. But I haven't used my Crayolas for, I don't know, a good while. I go through phases where I use one product and all the time. And then, it goes by the by. Mill? Maybe you could get your own book and you could colour in your own book, sweetheart. How about you get a job and buy your own colouring book? So I'm just going to put down some yellow for highlights, and it's going on the paper pretty good. Pity someone's, on my inspirational image. Yes, you are beautiful. You're beautiful. And clearly I need to buy her own colouring book. I tell you what though, she's got great taste in colouring books. She always comes out for the really good stuff. Some she just, lays in bed for, and she won't get out of bed for it. It reminds me of that saying, years ago, one of the supermodels, I think it was Naomi Campbell, said that she wouldn't get out of bed for, anything less than $10,000 a day. And I think, Millie's like that. She'll only get out of bed for, like, the really expensive colouring books. But, which is fine. She's got good taste. And little Charlie is underneath me. He's having a little nap. It's a pity Charlie gets missed out all the time, and I think a lot of people will think I've got a cat, but I've had Charlie, my little dog, for 14 years, and I was there when he was born, as I tell him every night when I tuck him in. I say, I've loved you for every minute of your life, because we had his mummy and his daddy, and his little brothers and sisters before they went off to new homes. Everyone I worked with there for a while had one of their puppies. But he is always under the desk, so you can't see him. But he's a little Maltese terrier. I think I've put pictures of him before on videos and Instagram, and sometimes, a picture of him curled up under the desk. But he just sits there and sleeps. Follows me around everywhere, and then he'll just sleep underneath my feet while I'm filming. He didn't like it a minute ago because I just moved the lamp, and that was where he was curled up and having a nap. So there's a lot of tooth on this paper, which makes me think it would be better with a waxier, creamier pencil. Not that this is any problem, it's going on absolutely fine. I often find with these Asian colouring books that the cheapest pencils, like the Crayolas, Collins, the Faber-Castell Classics, often work the best on the paper and not the fancy pants pencils. Which is funny because years ago I bought my Holbein pencils just so that I could use them with all these Asian colouring books that I buy, and it turns out I didn't really need to. The Crayolas are just fine. The other good thing about Crayolas is that you can often... Bye-bye, Millie. She's going back to her cubby house. She's said hello to you guys, and she's got this cardboard box that's a cubby house, and she loves lying in it. It's meant to be a scratching pad, but she lies in it all day, or half the day, and she likes to sit on the chair in the morning and look out the window. But I've forgotten what I was going to say. Oh, the thing about the Crayolas is that they're really good underneath like the Prismacolors. So if your paper is not that great, you can put down a layer of Crayola first, and always try, you know, on a spare page first, not one that you're loving and, you know, you're attached to. That's why there's usually a few spare bits of paper in a book, so you can test out different things before committing to a page, because no one wants to mess up a page that they really want to colour in. And yeah, try it out on a spare page and then put your Prismas over it, and instead of going like quite waxy and a bit slithery, if you have a lot of layers, you can add more, and you've got that sort of base there of the darker layer. Which I might end up doing. I was going to use my cheap Prismacolors, the Scholars, because I actually like those. I'm such a cheap day. I like all my cheap pencils. And, you know, my fancy Holbeins, I don't really use that much. I really do tend to use my cheaper ones more often. I mean, if they weren't so expensive to replace, you know, I might use them a bit more, but very budget conscious. So what have you guys all been doing today? I hope I'm keeping you company while you're doing something exciting. It might be cleaning or diamond painting or colouring or just chilling. But I hope you're doing something that you're enjoying. It's been raining here, which has been great. 2 states in Australia have been having a lot of rain, like with flood level type rain. And fortunately, the rain has managed to knock out a third of the bushfires, not all of them, but at least a third. So that's great. And now there's just 2/3 to go. But the area that we're in and the state sort of below us, south of us, in New South Wales, we're both being hit quite hard with excess rainfall. So now the danger is floods, not fires. But there's still fires in 2/3 of Australia. Well, 2/3 haven't been put out, I should say, to be more specific. So yeah, we've copped a lot of rain here where we are. Yesterday I think we had about 15 mil, which is like not 15 mil. God, my math's terrible. about 15 centimetres of rain, like half a ruler of rain. And I've had buckets and stuff all out to try and capture as much rain as I can, because I'm a bit nutty about water. I spent the early part of my life on 2 farms. One was a dairy farm and one was a wheat and sheep farm. And they both had one thing in common. There was always a water shortage. And, so I'm always careful about water. And I'm the nut job that, will lean over you when you're brushing your teeth and I'll turn the tap off. And, you can't sort of rinse a glass out with me because I'll be just there turning the tap off all the time. And I wish we had some water tanks here because we've got some room for it. I've got space where I can put it underneath the deck without impacting on my garden. And I really wish we could have bought some water tanks so I could conserve a bit of water for my garden, because before all of these rains it hadn't really rained. It started raining at Christmas Eve here, but it hadn't rained for the 8-10 months beforehand, and so everything was as dry as a bone where I live. And it would have been good if we had some water tanks so we could capture the rain coming off the roof and save it for later. Even if it was just to water the garden with, I'd be happy with that. Just anything really. But the price of water tanks for a pile of plastic is just horrendous, and just couldn't stretch the budget to it. But hopefully one day I will get a job and we'll be able to buy a water tank. Or hopefully there'll be something that comes up on sale, because then at least I can save some water for my garden, because I've got a bit obsessed with the garden and it's my big fear that we'll end up with water restrictions. So in Sydney, where we used to live and where my mother-in-law currently lives, they have water restrictions, meaning you're not allowed to hose the garden and you have to just use like buckets and things like that. You're not allowed to hose your car, and there's all these set time frames and whatnot. So all her garden was dying, but they're getting rain now. But a lot of it died off because of the water restrictions, and there were big fines if you did the wrong thing. So my big fear is always that we'll end up with water restrictions up here and I won't have enough water for my plants and all that work that I've put into them and whatnot, and they'll end up dying, and yeah, I lose enough to suicide, that don't like where I've planted them or whatnot. I don't need them to be dehydrated as well, so if I get a water tank, then at least that will be better. Even if it just, does water for a little bit. I'm also really nutty about water too. Like, I save water from everywhere. So like if I'm heating up the shower and it takes a while to heat up the water, I'm one of those nut jobs that has a bucket there and saves it so that I can cool it down and then use it on the garden. And at the moment I've got all these buckets outside catching all the rainwater because we don't have the tank, so that I can use that later to water the garden once the rain stops and it needs more water. I see it running out onto the street and it just breaks my heart, all this water being wasted. But when I was a kid, we had tank water and we had dams and a bore. And when you grow up, sort of, we'll spend quite a lot of time before we move to the big town without water. I don't know, it doesn't seem to leave you, and you get a bit weird about it. David grew up in the city, so he just thinks I'm a nut job, and I think I annoy the living daylights out of him with my turning off taps and whatnot. But to me, he's like incredibly wasteful, and yeah, it's just, you know, what you grow up with and what you know. Plus, water is so expensive to buy anyway. And so with all this rain, the pool is so full of water, it's unbelievable. It's got about an inch from the top, which it was like that a week or so ago, but then we got some hot days and it evaporated a bit. So now it's like an inch from the top, and it's stopped raining just at the moment, but I do think it's going to start up again. That's what the weather forecast was. And I think if it starts up again today, I think the pool will overflow, which I haven't seen it do it yet, because every time I think it's going to go, it starts coming out sunshine. But I think it's going to overflow today if we get more rain. So last night we woke up to rain, and we went to bed to storms and rain everywhere, and today it's been raining and sort of on and off really. But it's so good that it's at least put out some of these bushfires. But now they're issuing all these flood alerts, and David, when he was driving home, you know, had to avoid all the places because we've only got a small car where the roads were flooded, because our car will flood. You can't drive through a big puddle in it. It's only a small, like, little hatchback car, so it's not a full drive, you know, or anything like that. So I just hope he's going to be careful on his drive home from work. Just this is easy to colour, this paper. And these are just like the 50 set of Crayolas. They're not the big fancy set, although I really would like those. They're just the 50 set. It's hard to get those Crayola 120s. I've seen them, but I haven't seen them for sale in Australia. So I'd like to get them. But these are just the 50 set. The other pencils I'd like to get are those Arteza pencils, the 120 set. But again, in Australia, they're really quite expensive, and just can't either, you know, save up that amount or justify the cost, you know, at the moment. But one day I would like to see what they're like. But these Crayolas are just fine. This is such a lovely book. I really love the way they've got the inspirational image there. I always find it so hard working out colours. I just admire people so much that seem to just instinctively know what they're going to do without, you know, having this major angst over it that I have. And even though I probably won't use all these colours, like I find that all a bit too yellow for me, it's nice seeing it so that I got an idea. And yeah, that's why I did my wood a bit darker, because I find that a little bit too yellow for my taste. But I really appreciate that it's coloured, and so I can see what it looks like. I don't know what this is meant to be, if it's meant to be the handle or don't know. They've got it coloured the same sort of wood, but I don't know what that is. We might leave that till the end. So I hope you're having a good day today. It's Friday in Australia, and I haven't done a lot today. I've been doing some cleaning and cleaning the bathroom and cleaning the kitchen out. I've got to say I haven't done a very good job on it because I couldn't be bothered, to be honest. I really just wanted to come and colour this picture and another whip that I'm working on, and I just wanted to get that done and not be bothered with having to do too much housework. But I will have to make a little bit of an effort and do something, because I've got like 3 loads of washing that are all sitting in the bedroom that I haven't put away in the cupboard. And I use that whole KonMari method now of folding up the clothes, which is great, because before I was using that, David used to just grab his t-shirts out and he'd ruin the whole drawer just by looking for like a favourite t-shirt, because all the t-shirts that he wears have patterns on them. And like, he never just wears a plain t-shirt. And so he was always making a mess of the washing that I'd put away. And he would never put the washing away himself, you know, it'd just be thrown in the cupboard. And so to put the washing away, I have to, you know, spend all the time doing the KonMari thing of folding it up properly, which is worth it in the end, because then he doesn't make that mess everywhere. But, you know, you're sitting in the bedroom and there's nothing to do. Like, there's no TV to watch in the background, or no YouTube, or I don't know, it's all a bit boring. So I put it off because it bores me. Which, I've got the attention span of a gnat sometimes. I'm really able to focus on some things, but other things, if they're what I class as boring, I just have zero patience for whatsoever, and I just can't seem to fool myself into doing it just, you know, for the sake of it. It really is a personality problem. But I think it's, I just don't do things that bore me too much. You know, I like to do things that are more challenging for me, or yeah. Plus, I like to multitask, and yeah, there's nothing in there for me to watch or anything. And if I take the iPad in there, I'll end up running the battery down, and it seems to wear out pretty quick, and then it won't be available for when David comes home and he likes to read the news on it and whatnot, so it won't charge up in time. So yes, first world problems, isn't it? I'm only joking. People have so many problems in the world, and my not able to be amused for 10 minutes really isn't one of them. But I think that's the whole problem with technology. You know, as I like to say, I haven't been bored since 1997 when I discovered the internet, because now there's just always something that you can watch or listen to or learn or be entertained by online or connect with people, or, you know, or there's information in some manner to consume that it's just impossible for me to be bored. But also I find it very hard to disconnect from that because, you know, I feel like I could be learning something or doing something or be involved in something, or just, you know, be entertained or amused in some way. I'm like a toddler. Jeez. It's terrible when you have these realizations about yourself. It's like a toddler that's got to be kept amused all the time. And the funny thing is that I tell David off for the same reason, you know, that he's always got to get my attention and, you know, I've got to stop everything and listen to him. And I'm probably the same way, if not worse. It's shocking. So, the wood and that's coming along pretty well on this, I think. And because they've put so much line art into this, I don't really need to do much here at all. They've done all the work for me, which is good. Means I might be able to finish the picture quicker. I don't know about you guys, but I've got so many whips at the moment. I've got my News Carries Through the Forest page that I've been working on with the big tree stump on it and all the mushrooms. I've got my Queens of Poland, I've got my Grazia Salvo, I've got one of Clara Makova's, and I've got one from Maria Troll. And then this morning, for some reason, I just decided to add to the pile of works and start on this picture. So, seriously, don't know what's wrong with me sometimes. And no, I don't have ADD. I do have a problem with focusing though. But I can focus when I need to. It's just that I think I often choose not to. So when the rain eases up a bit, I'm going to go down and check out my plants, because I've got a few pots in there that I had to fill up with water so I could save it for later. And they're right to the brim, they're right to the edge, so I'm going to have to find something to tip that into while it's not raining. So I'll have it for later on. And just to see if any of my plants have become waterlogged, because the other week when we had all the rain, my geraniums were in a pot, and there mustn't have been adequate drainage, and same with my herb garden, and they got completely overflowed with water. And anyway, long story short, I retransplanted the geranium, but it didn't last. It was so waterlogged. I wonder what that is. Oh, it's part of the fence. Why do I always miss something? It got so waterlogged that it kind of just died and got mouldy death. I always miss something. I don't know how. I mean, I have looked at this picture and yeah, I still miss things. Hopefully that's going to be okay. Yes, I might leave that alone for the minute and do the rest of this. I didn't want the rest to be as yellow as the inspirational image, because I wanted the pears to stand out a little bit more. I don't know. I might go orange. That might be better. We'll see. No one's telling me not to, so yeah. The other good thing about the inspirational image is if your eyesight is bad like mine and you're not really as close to the thing as you would like to be, like here, you can work out sometimes, you know, what things are, because like all of this all together, you know, to me that could be her arm or anything, but it's actually the hoof of the horsey, the little pony by the looks of it. So at least I might stop making so many mistakes and forgetting to colour things in or colouring them in the wrong colour. Yes, I think we'll do this orange. Yeah, so let me know in the comments below what you're working on today. I always love hearing, and I don't care if it's colouring related or, you know, if it's just like general life, paying bills, you know, doing anything. I'm always interested in whatever people are doing. I don't get out much. Speaking of which, we were talking last night, because Valentine's Day is next week. And we have a terrible history with Valentine's Day, and also with our anniversary, birthday, and, you know, basically any special occasion. But Valentine's Day, I don't think we've ever managed to get the full-on, you know, romantic Valentine's Day, even when we first met. And now after 20 years, we've never sort of been able to get it together, like either we haven't planned anything, or we have planned things but they just haven't worked out, or we've ended up having a fight, you know. Just, you know, whatever reason, it just doesn't work out for us. And so David last night was talking about what to do with Valentine's Day, and you know, I feel like just saying, you know, don't worry about it. But he looked like he'd been trying to think of something, because at the moment it's super difficult because we're living on just David's pay, and he's getting paid half of what he used to, basically, just like not quite half but close of what he used to get paid, and I'm not earning anything, but yeah, I'm the one with the largest earning capacity, so if I did have a job I would be able to earn more than David if I was doing what I'm trying to do. But you know, up here that's kind of virtually impossible for me. And so, yes, living on just one wage, and when it's significantly less than what we're used to, is super difficult. And so I don't think we'll have, you know, money to do anything Valentine's fancy. And, you know, all this restaurants and stuff, they usually just have set menus for Valentine's, or, you know, they've got some sort of thing where it's pretty expensive to go to. So thinking we might just, if the weather is okay, but it still says rain next week, maybe just go to one of the nice parks or beaches around and have like a picnic, and then we can take Charlie, and at least then it won't be too expensive, and you know, it'll still be a really nice night, I think. Just nice just to go to the beach and have a walk, as long as this weather is okay. I've missed a bit again over there. God. Please tell me I'm not the only one that does this. Anyway. Yeah, so I was thinking about maybe doing that. But if you've got any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. We never seem to be able to get this right. And Christmas, we can't seem to get a grip on that either. You know. So hopefully, you know, at some stage we're going to get it together. But I don't think it's going to be, you know, this year, but to be honest, if it's wet and miserable, I don't really want to go out. And I also don't want to spend, you know, money on just, you know, something for the sake of it. And I certainly don't want flowers or anything because I've got my own in the garden. And I don't want jewellery, or I don't want a gift at all. And I also don't want David to feel like he has to spend, you know, money that he doesn't have. Just because it's a, you know, Valentine's Day. And I've got plenty of flowers in the garden, so there's no need for them. I think that's okay. So if you've got any ideas on the cheap and cheerful Valentine's Day, I'd love to hear them. I don't know, it might need a bit of green maybe, I don't know. I love these little Crayolas, they're so nice. Maybe a bit of this this green, or maybe this green. It's like a lime peel green. Some of them are so little now, the Crayolas. I still colour like a little kid. I still hold my pencil and my caps in my hand like I used to do when I was a child. I don't know if you guys do that or not as well, or if it's just me. But sometimes, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm sort of like sticking my tongue out and, you know, concentrating really hard like when you're a kid. But I did think I would make David some brownies. I've got all the ingredients in the cupboard, and make him some of those. So the great thing about the rain is that all the plants are just getting a huge drenching, which is great. But I've been in the colouring cave for the last couple of days, more than usual, sort of colouring and working on whips and things like that. And I've run out of room in here, so I'm going to actually have to have a de-stash, and I have to actually get rid of some things because this house just is too small. And the other day David went to move one of my racks and it nearly sort of fell down and squashed poor little Charlie, so can't have that because I keep just putting books more on top of each other and on top of each other, and she's gonna fall. There's just no way around it, so I'm going to have a bit of a de-stash, which is good, because I've changed a lot, and you know, there's things that I want to colour in, and there's things that don't float my boat anymore. So I think I'll have a bit of a de-stash. I've also got some duplicates and things, so I might be able to clear some stuff out. So I think do these little pairs up here. These picture sizes are great because they're not huge and there's so much detail in this picture. I wouldn't be surprised if I could actually get this finished, like, you know, maybe today or tomorrow, which for me is pretty major because I'm as slow as a wet leek. I'm just going to put down some yellow first, and then I'll come back and I'll put more browns and greens over. But I love the sketchiness of this book. So highly textured. And I could imagine if I was using my Prizzies on here, actually I might get a Prizzy so that I can see what it would look, what it goes like over the Crayola. Let me see. Oh yes. Oh, lovely. Lovely. Oh, I like that. So nice and soft, and it's not slithering everywhere because that Crayola has formed a nice firm base. So put some lime peel onto that. I don't want a really yellow pear. I want it sort of greeny and with a bit of brown in it. I'll just put the lime peel straight over this one, see what happens. Yeah, that Crayola forms a lovely base so that you can add, you know, way more layers if you want to. Oh, so nice. I might see if I can put the Crayola over the Prismacolor, over the Crayola. It's not really moving a lot. There we go. There we go. And you may hear Millie, she's snoring. I think because she's got the flat little face, she often snores. And Charlie, because he's Maltese Shih Tzu, he's got the flat little face, so he often snores as well. And I get sinus, so I sometimes snore as well. And David's got sleep apnea, so he sometimes snores as well, but we'll all deny it if ever asked, because that's what you do. Yeah, so the Crayolas do go back over that as well. So that's good. Yeah, this book is really, really lovely. I'm so glad that I got it. I'll just try these Prismacolors on here. Yeah, they're going on very smooth. Very smooth. I thought they would. Yeah, I'm so glad I bought this book. It was a bit of a Christmas present for moi. And I thought I've been so good. I deserve it. Well, that was my theory anyway. And I've resisted so many books this year. Last year, sorry, I should say. So Thought one's got to slip into the cart, or two, or maybe three. But I think I actually have been pretty good. Yeah. So it's nice to know how they go and how they perform. And this texture on the book is just so nice to work with. I'm just going to put in some little stripies on Mr. Monkey's outfit. And the good thing is, because all this black is already on the book, you don't really need to be too careful and precise. You can just be, you know, a little bit roughy. So I think I'll use these same browns for the monkey. Yeah, so let me know in the comments what you're doing today or this evening, whenever you might be watching this. I always like to hear, after this I'm going to go do that laundry. Confessing to having the 3 loads of washing on the bed has made me feel guilty. I should be doing it. Because, I mean, after all, I am home, and David probably wonders, what on earth does she do all day? I wonder too, to be honest, to be fair. Because I get up so early. Like, I get up at, 5. The other day I was up at 4:30. And yet, it seems to be sometimes I just don't seem to, I don't know. I truly do not know where the time goes sometimes. I feel like I might just black out for like 3 or 4 hours. And sometimes I just sit there and I read the news and whatnot, and I think it's only been 15 minutes, but it's really been like 2 hours, 3 cups of coffee and whatnot, and I'm still doing it. Oh, this book is so cute. So we got a little bit of the monkey done. Oh, actually, we might do the brown pants on that. And that's his hat, I think. Or is it a donut? Is it a donut? Now see, over here on this picture, it kind of looks like it might be a half-eaten donut. Because that's a donut. A donut there. And is that a donut or a hat? I think it might be a donut. Which, if that's the case, I should have done a bit of background on that. Oh, I don't know. I think I need to do more on these pears, though. They're not green enough. Have some more green, Mr. Pear. I love poached pears. I haven't had them for years, but maybe I should make those, especially on these. Last night we had roast because it was cold and raining and windy, and even though it's summer here, we haven't had roast for ages because it's been way too hot. But with all this cold weather and wet rain, it was just perfect. And so I think the poached pears would be also nice, just while we've got this crazy weather at the moment. Always nice in winter. And I think I've got the ingredients to make them. I did have some red wine that I use for things like this, and I had a spare bottle, but I think when David's brother came up at Christmas, he drank it. I have to go and check that. I should actually keep a little notebook by me when I colour, because it's when I remember half the things that I've got to do or whatnot. And then I'm sure by the time I turn the camera off, I will have forgotten what it is that I was going to do. Yeah, so I was going to do these pants in the dark colour as well. I think that's his shoe, so I might come back with the black and do a bit more on that one. And then I was going to work out some meals for the next 2 weeks and get an online shopping order done, which I haven't done for a while. But David also wants me to make his lunches for him and work out that. So I'll have to work out some recipes that would be good to, if he's working in the warehouse, that he can, use there, but if he goes to a job site that he can take as well. So try and work out a few good things that he can take to work. So I've been looking at the kids' lunch boxes and the mums sites that make all the cute lunch boxes and stuff for their kids. Like, they're nice and healthy and they've got lots of variety in them, and been looking at those for some ideas, because it's been a while since I've made lunches. And David eats like there's no tomorrow. He's like a vacuum cleaner, so I need to make a really large selection and lots of protein in it. After making those protein balls as well, because they fill him up a bit, but need to find some inspiration. I wish there was just one website, or maybe you guys know, where it's just got like lunch wraps and lunchbox ideas and whatnot. I've seen that there's quite a few books on the market, but I don't want to buy like 2 or 3 books. I just want, a few different ideas. I don't want things that go soggy, and I want them to be able to travel well in case, he's working at jobs out of, sometimes he's had to travel, 2-3 hours away to work. God, I love this book. I'm so pleased that I bought it. Such a nice book. It's just so easy to colour. I'm being as rough as with it, and this is real-time colouring. It's not sped up or anything. I'm being just as rough and slapdash with it, and not overly blending or anything. And it's still such a dream to colour with. Now, is this a donut or not? Oh, I wish I knew. I think it is a donut. I think that's a donut, because now that I look at it again, that looks like icing, and that looks like it's got some sort of berries in it maybe, and it's sort of half eaten. So I think that is a donut. That's definitely a donut. That's the horse's tail, not to be confused with the tree. These are the things that confuse me, because I end up thinking that that's part of the tree, and it turns out that it's the horse's tail. And actually, I think I might do that like blue or something, so that I don't confuse myself. But anyway, so that's it from me today. And this is the Deming's colouring book. It's a Korean colouring book. I've reviewed it before, but I'll pop the link to that review below. Thank you so much for keeping me company today, and until next time, happy colouring.